On this episode of the 10 Code Public Safety Podcast, we're discussing recruitment efforts for the Murfreesboro Emergency Communications Center. We're also going to be talking about a recent national certification that the Dispatch Center recently received. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Public Safety Information Director Larry Flowers. Today's guests include Murfreesboro Emergency Communication Director Seth Russell and Murfreesboro Communications Center Operations Coordinator, new title, Courtney Drake. Welcome.
Thank you.
The Murfreesboro City Council recently approved a pay raise for police officers and firefighters, and fortunately, Murfreesboro Emergency Communications Center employees were included in that public safety pay plan. Director Russell, let's begin with you. How excited were you to hear that your employees were receiving an additional raise?
Oh, ecstatic. We're very blessed with a very supportive department and city leadership when it comes to focus on public safety, and also especially when it comes to emergency communications. Sometimes some jurisdictions can leave out the dispatch center, emergency communications. So we're very fortunate to have the leaders and city leaders that incorporate emergency communications within public safety as the hub and nucleus it is.
Okay. Now, has this new pay plan assisted with recruitment in any way? If so, how?
Yes, just very tangibly, actually. Before, we did a hiring cycle earlier this year around the springtime. We got about 80 applicants. Following the pay raise and additional recruitment efforts, this fall we had over 140 applicants. So dramatic increase when it comes to having the applicant pool and quality candidates apply.
Sure. Are you fully staffed right now?
We are, actually. We had 9 new positions for entry-level positions. We hired 8 that started recently, and we had the last one starting in January is the plan.
So, Mr. Russell, what is the new pay scale for Communication Specialist 1 and Communication Specialist 2 positions?
Specialist 1 is $23.65, and that's your call taker entry-level position. We also have a lateral opportunity for experienced dispatchers, and that starts at just over $26, all the way up to potentially $29, depending on experience pay.
So, is that competitive with other communication centers in Tennessee?
It definitely puts us in a competitive posture as we've seen the applicant pool, and we also seen lateral transfers come to us from around the nation and within Middle Tennessee. And I think right now it's just staying competitive with any future competition.
So when you're recruiting, are these like local recruits from across the state, or do you find them applying from states all across the country?
States all across the country. So we get a lot of Tennesseans, Middle Tennesseans. We just hired someone from the West Coast, Washington State. We hired one from California. We have a lateral great team member that came from New York and Florida, Alabama. So really across the nation from every state, and also locally when it comes to Middle Tennessee.
And Courtney, we're going to bring you in. I understand you were really instrumental in helping to achieve this national certification through the Association of Public Safety Communication Officials International.
Yes, sir.
Explain what that is.
So it is a nationally recognized dispatcher program. It's called APCO, and they have a training certification program. So essentially, you submit all your training materials, and they will say that it meets the national standards for training programs for dispatch centers. It was about a 2-year, almost 3-year project that we had, and during all those, we had to meet the standards through all of our training material and the material that our trainers put out, and we succeeded. So it's a great achievement for us in our center.
What step did you take to meet these standards required to receive this certification? Other than, like you said, I understand you had to submit your training material, but things change. You had to
Sure. So we had to submit all our SOPs. So it would ask for us specific standard, and we would have to show that we had policy and procedure that meet that and or follow it. So we had to submit those with each specific standard. We would have to go through all our materials and find, okay, this meets this meets that. Also, a lot of work was done through our trainers, and what they complete for their training documentations are called DORs. Those are just daily observation reports that they submit on the trainees that they train every day. And those training reports just include all the tasks that they do every day, all the calls that they answered, any sort of corrections that needed to come with it. But that documentation is really the foundation of that training certification, because it shows, hey, we do train on this, we do train on that. So every situation, it met that standard.
Were there any challenges you faced during this entire process? What did you say, almost 3 years?
There was some challenges. We did find some holes that we didn't have. So that was great for us that we were able to create some policy procedure or something maybe we weren't doing in our training program that we initiated. So yeah, it just made our training program more solid.
So when do you have to resubmit? Is this like for a 2-year period or a 5-year period, or you just continuously, as you update your standard operating procedures?
It's every 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. We go through the process again, but we got the big battle of it done. We would just go and update if we had any updates for that policy or procedure in particular. Then we would submit our new policy procedure, and then of course we would submit recent DORs versus the ones we had from 3 years ago. So
Sure. And Seth, how is attaining this certification enhance the quality of service provided by the Murfreesboro Emergency Communications Center, and what are the benefits that I guess our local community can expect?
The benefits is, so the APCO published a national standard for minimum training requirements for telecommunicators. So as a lot of people don't know, dispatchers are still technically classified as clerical, according to the federal government. So there's not really a lot of state standards like police officers have posts, and the firefighters have their fire academy from the state level. Technically, from the state standpoint, currently the minimum training requirements for telecommunicators is only 1 week in the classroom and 1 week on the job training. So obviously there's nowhere near to train someone even close to be successful in the position. So you have a lot of disparate training programs out there, depending on the size of the organization, the size of the jurisdiction, and what all they're responsible for processing calls or dispatching. So some agencies just do police, some agencies do fire, some agencies do EMS. So we actually dispatch police and fire, but we handle both police, fire, and medical call taking, and as a fully cross-trained center. So with that, now that we can, we've proven that our training program meets the national standards when it comes to law enforcement dispatch and fire dispatch, and then call handling for all police, fire, medical. It definitely gives us the credibility and a standard to maintain, and sets our team members up for success, that we are providing that training for them to be successful and provide that quality service to our citizens.
And speaking of training, your training program could take an entire year, right?
It is from back to back. So we just recently split it, actually. So we are hiring CS1's call takers for that call taking, for that police, fire, medical call taking function, and then the criminal database. So that program can take on-the-job training is about 6 months, with about 3 months of independent weekly evaluation. So they'll get done in about 9 months. Then they'll have a promotional process to put in for the communication specialist to dispatcher position, and that training program takes about 6 months.
Looking ahead, are there any goals, anything that you want to aim to succeed or to continue to make sure we're nationally recognized moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's maintaining that training standard and kind of building upon that. So We recently implemented a new DOR, Daily Observation Report software, about the last fall, I think. It provides a lot more data, so we have we will have a lot more better ability to identify what calls that call takers might not experience during the training program, so we can build in more scenario base. And we also just implemented both internal and external support for quality assurance reviews for our entire team, and we're kind of working towards the accreditation process for emergency medical dispatch and emergency fire dispatch.
Sure. And before we go, Courtney, I mentioned earlier that you have a new title, operations coordinator. Used to be the training coordinator. What does your new position entail?
So I am the operations coordinator on the night team, and I supervise and basically just make sure the shift is running well, doing all the behind-the-scenes tasks, making sure equipment's running right, if any problems that should arise throughout the night that I'm on, and really just make sure scheduling, any sort of admin duties that need to be completed. But it's definitely a different role, but I am enjoying it.
Okay, great. Is there anything else you want to add that I failed to ask you?
I don't think so.
What about you, Seth?
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
We've been discussing recruitment efforts in the nationally recognized Murfreesboro Emergency Communications Center. Thank you for joining us, Director Russell and Courtney Drake. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Public Safety Podcast originates from the Murfreesboro City Hall. Thanks for listening wherever you download your podcast. Also, if you haven't taken part in the special census, you still have time to do so. Visit murfreesborocensus.com. We're also giving away a $100 gift card, only if you fill out the census form online. And by filling out this census, we will get a more accurate count of the number of residents in the city of Murfreesboro, and it would do great good for public safety. For more information on public safety in the fast-growing city of Murfreesboro, visit our website, murfreesborotn.gov. Until next time, I'm Larry Flowers. Have a great day, everyone.